Okay, this is a Trek Dual Sport. This is the Trek Dual Sport 1, and I think this might just be the perfect hybrid commuter bike. Well, why is that, you say? Well, simplicity. So the frame, we have an Alpha aluminium gold frame. Frame looks fantastic. It has these decals. Yes, this one's used. There's a few scratches on it. You know, of course there is. She's a used bike from the auction. But the frame really looks the part. It has this beautiful paint job. Has this Trek. I love the way they've got this Trek logo on here. It's lacquered in. There's like a, obviously it's a shiny plastic decal and then lacquered over. But why do I think this is the perfect commuter hybrid? Well, we have suspension. Yeah, granted, it's basic suspension. They're just greasy lubricated Suntours, but these commuter forks do work and they do absorb the potholes on Britain's terrible roads. We have 7-speed. Now, I know what you're thinking, look, in the world of 12 and 11-speed, why on earth would you want a 7-speed bike? Well, it's cheap and it's easy to replace, and you can get it from any bike shop, including Cycle King. So, 7-speed cassette, not freewheel, it is actually a proper cassette. The Altus derailleur is actually an 8-speed capable derailleur, but it is just running on a 7-speed shifter, so it's 7 speeds with the 7-speed cassette, of course. You could cheaply upgrade to 8-speed if you wanted to, and it is rather strange Trek used a 7-speed, I'm not going to lie. I guess they just had a whole bunch of these 7-speed shifters lying around. I'm like, we'll put that on our budget Dual Sport. This is a Dual Sport 1, doesn't have hydraulic brakes. You do get the mechanical disc brakes, which is the only negative. To be honest, V-brakes would be better than these bleeding things, but you know, they're cheap and they do work. They're fairly easy to fix and replace should you get problems. There's no bleeding or anything like that involved, and they stop adequately, although the modulation's not perfect. This isn't like a sporty bike or anything like this. It's just to go from point A to point B and occasionally C. Whether that involves a bit of road, a little bit of off-road along the way, some potholes, jumping up and down curbs occasionally, you know, that kind of thing. Obviously we're running 700C wheels, and you could also argue the mechanical disc brakes are better for mud. So if you do need to go through mud, it's not going to collect around your the V-brakes, so that's what can happen with V-brakes. They just get covered in mud. I mean, I'm not saying you should go do that all the time. It's not a cyclocross bike, but you know, you could if you had to. Say if a road was closed or something like that and you had to find an off-road route to get there, you could do that. Absolutely fantastic. We've got bottom mounts, we've got rack mounts on the frame as well, so you can have a rack on here. We've got even a kickstand if you really wanted to go that far. Someone has replaced this rear wheel at some stage, which is not surprising, as it is used, you know, it's from the auctions. Now this thing was super cheap. Guess how much I paid for it in the comments down below, and I will put a message in there letting you know. And yeah, so the Trek Dual Sport. Now I know Kev Central also had one of these and rated it highly. I don't think it was the one, I think it was a few models up from the one. But you know, in my opinion, it is a perfect commuter bike. This particular one, the faults it has, so bear this in mind with how much I paid. Rear brake seized up, the cable is seized, and the front brake, there's no brake pads left at all. It does still work, just down to the metal and makes some horrible noises. The disc is a bit scored up, but you know, it does still stop. And I'm obviously going to replace the whole caliper. I've got some Avid ones kicking around, so we'll use those. But yeah, Trek Dual Sport 1, brilliant budget commuter bike. It rides really well. I mean really well, even with the front brake sticking on. It was absolutely fantastic, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, that concludes the video on the Trek Dual Sport 1.